A lot of my friends have been asking me the same question recently. We are surrounded by wars, the Strait of Hormuz is closed, political uncertainty, expensive housing, expensive food, and almost everyone I speak to seems to be complaining about the economy. Then you open the Financial Times or any financial news, and most or some of the European stock and the American stock market is booming, record highs. So, what exactly is going on? Are we living in two different planets? Maybe not. But I think we might be living in two different economies. And there is one number that helps explain this paradox. For example, in America, 10% of society owns roughly 88% of the corporate equities. The next 40% holds roughly another 12%, 88 and 12. And the bottom half, almost nothing. They are largely in debt. Their financial lives are much more likely to revolve around salaries, rent, mortgages, credit cards, and debt. So, a rise in stocks makes that 10% wealthier, not everybody. But if you don't own financial assets, your rent is still your rent. So the same economy can feel completely different depending on which side of the balance sheet you live on. But this creates another question. Who keeps buying all of these stocks? Where does that money come from? Part of it is boringly automatic. Every month, enormous amounts of money flow into pensions, ETFs, and index funds. Companies themselves are buying their own shares as well. I know it might be strange to some of you, but I can't discuss it all here. So, all of these actually bringing more demand, potentially higher prices for the financial assets and stocks. As markets rise, the people who already own actually most of the assets become wealthier and they have more capital to invest. Then what's going to happen? More demand again. And it can become a powerful feedback loop. And this brings me to another point, which made by Milton Friedman. Friedman had a famously contentious mantra: inflation is made here in Washington because money is created here in Washington. So the money creation process can expand demand for financial assets and at the same time contribute to inflation or price increases. But which prices? Some of it can find its way into property, stocks, financial assets, and some of it affects the goods of our daily lives like food, rent, energy, etc. For those who own financial assets, inflation in asset prices can make them richer. Think about that 10% of the society. But uh, if most of your income is salary and most of your expenses are food, energy, rent, and that, you experience inflation very differently. One person sees their wealth increasing at the same time another sees their purchasing power disappearing. And that's the ramification that I think we sometimes obfuscate when we simply say the economy is doing what? Which economy? The economy of asset owners or the economy of people living on their monthly income. Maybe Wall Street isn't disconnected from reality at all. Maybe Wall Street is accurately describing one reality, and ordinary people struggling with the cost of living are accurately describing another reality. Same country, same currency, same inflation, two completely different economies. So, struggling economy or record high stock market. The answer is it depends which economy you are living in.